Hello, everyone. Howard here. It's been really busy the last couple of months. I haven't been able to do a video because my regular job that has nothing to do with watches has been extremely busy. But I'm glad I'm back today with the classic Patek Philippe Calatrava 5127R-001. What a beautiful classic piece. In the last 10 years, I would say, sports watch sort of dominated the watch theme. A lot of the sports watch have been going crazy, especially with the COVID. I myself had quite a few sports watches myself, but I think, with things started to go back a little bit back to normal with, size of the watch getting smaller, the classic watches are getting a little bit more attention. I want to do a watch, not the standard, the GMT, the diver, just more of a classic dressy watch. I wouldn't say this is the ultimate dress watch, but definitely it's one of the most famous one. Calatrava was introduced by, Patek in, I think 1930s, 1932. And this particular model, 5127, was introduced in 2005, replaced the 5107 that was discontinued in 2013 with the current model 5227 that's still running. And for this generation, the 5127, there are three different precious metal colors: the white gold 5127G, the yellow gold 5127J, and this one 5127R. I think the first reaction is the rose gold. It may not look as red as some of the other brands I've seen. Under the video, depending on the lighting, you can kind of tell it's rose gold. But I think from afar, some people may think it's a yellow gold. It's a little bit difficult to tell. But overall, they had three of those models introduced in that about 8-year period. I like this older model 5127 compared to the 5227 just because this was a little bit smaller, 37 millimeter case. The current 5227 is 39 millimeter. Like I said earlier, there's a trend of whether it's sports watch or a regular dress watch. It started to go back a little bit smaller in terms of sizes. Things have gone out of control with a lot of the watches going to, dress watch going to 40, 41, sports watch 42, 44. That's great if you have a big wrist, but if you have a small, medium-sized wrist, those are just too big. And I think traditionally, dress watches or a little bit more formal watches are a little bit smaller. Back in the days, I think Calatrava was even 33, 34 millimeters. These 37, I feel like it's a good size. So the dimension, when I measured it, it's 36.9, not exactly 37, but it's close enough. And you will notice right away, this watch has the crown guard on the right. Some people like that, some people don't, but I think it looks, the curvature of the case makes it look very smooth. It doesn't look out of place. So I personally like this little crown guard. Make it also look a little bit different. And I think some other folks also said, because of this extra crown guard here, it does look slightly, make the case look slightly bigger than 37. The thickness is only 8.8. And what I want to point out, that 8.8 is from the bottom to the top of the glass. You can see the glass is slightly, domed. And on the top, it's a little bit higher than the edge. So the edge is more like around 8.6, 8.7. But the top of the glass to bottom of the case, 8.8 millimeters. Lug-to-lug is only about 46 lug-to-lug, so it's not too big. Great for small to mid-size wrist, and lug width is standard 20. The overall weight, it's pretty light. I was expecting something a little bit heavier than that, but because it's precious metal, but because the watch is fairly small and also, not very thick, it's only 71.5 grams with obviously the leather strap. That's about 2.54 ounces. So it's pretty light watch. It's not like wearing, for example, a gold, a 36 millimeter gold Oyster Perpetual will be around 160, 165, if you take out one or two links. A platinum 36 millimeter oyster perpetual will be 220 grams. So this 71.5 is very, very light, very, very light. So like I said earlier, overall the case is very smooth. A lot of the round curves. There's no hard edges anywhere. The round bezel, I like the round bezel a lot. There's some other models like 5296, if I remember correctly. I haven't done too many reviews, so I'm not, expert in those watches at all. They have the flat bezel, but I think this, round bezel looks really nice. And like I said, a slightly domed crystal looks beautiful. The overall shape is just very smooth. The crown guard with the crown here, Calatrava cross, classic, and the lug sort of curved down a little bit. There's no hard angle from any degree. At the bottom, let's take a look at that beautiful case here. I think the rotor is 18K solid gold. So this watch earlier had the movement of 315, I believe. The later years, I can't remember exactly what year they moved to 324. So this is the 324. This particular one I'm reviewing right now, I believe it's a 2013 model. So it has the latest 324 SC movement, 29 joules, power reserve 45 hours, 28,800 vibration per hour. This one, it's a little bit difficult to see. It has the PP seal. Let me put it this way. You can see the seal at the lower left. PP, and I think some of the older years may have had the Geneva seal as well. Beautiful watch. Screw down, I believe. And it has a 30 millimeter, not 30 millimeter, excuse me, 30 meter water resistance. But I think it's, in reality, no one's going to be really wearing this, going to a swimming pool or anything like that. It's a, it's an on-land watch. The dial, it's, I believe it's either it's called off-white or opaline silver. It's kind of a matte color, but not brushed. So the dial is not super reflective. I'm sitting out, inside a room right now next to a window, so you can see a little bit of a, this is more of the lighting effect, not necessarily the dial reflecting anything. Beautiful indices, man. So these Minitrack, it's like the dimple style Minitrack, and the dart style indexes for the 12 indexes, dolphin hands, beautiful gold. All of these obviously are 18K gold. And also the window, the faceted window and the faceted, the hour indexes are beautiful. One thing I want to point out, at the 3 o'clock, you can see we have edge of the window have 3 dots. So the older model didn't have the 3 dots on the right side of the window. It only has 57 dots, and this one has 60 because it's a later year. It's just really clean. If you guys been following me for a while, I've done over 100 videos. My most complicated watch was just a GMT or dual time, because I used to work for a European company in the US, I need to know the time zone. But I like simple now. These 3 hands, it just looks really clean. This type of watches, JLC makes the master control. Some of the models have 3s, the numbers 6 and 9, 12. I just like more, just all indexes. I don't like these numbers. I know maybe they're trying to make it a little bit more casual, a little bit more sporty, but just, indexes, 3 hands, that's all I need. That's all I need. I just need to see the time, date. That's it. There's no lume, so that's fine. The reflective, generally, the polish, when you see it, unless it's really dark, you can't really tell the time. But otherwise, it's pretty solid. Beautiful watch, beautiful. It's very, understated. I think, yes, it's a dress watch, but you can certainly, with the society generally dressing a little bit more casual now, right? Especially West Coast started pre-COVID, with the tech industry, instead of suits and ties. People are wearing khakis and, hoodies. So I'm not saying this is the best fit for a hoodie, but you don't need to wear suits and tie, just to wear this type of watch. You can dress down a little bit for sure. Just quickly take a look at the brown alligator leather. This one's obviously this watch is 12 years old, so it's worn quite a bit. It's not super thick like some of the new modern watches, and obviously because of the aging, it's very soft and supple. It's not like stiff and hard. And that you have the signature buckle here, the Henry Sten type of buckle, 18K rose gold with the Patek Philippe, name on there. Okay, put the watch on my 16.5 centimeters, 6.5 inches. I think it's a perfect fit. 37, 36 watches fits really well. I mean, I can wear 39, 38 for sure, but 36, plenty space between the end of the lug to the edge of my skin. Plenty, like I would say 1 millimeters on top, 0.7, 0.8 millimeter, 7, 8 millimeters at the bottom, and 1 centimeters between the top of the lug. It just looks really good, and it's only 8.8 millimeters, thickness. It's really the band right now, the strap, it's not super tight. That's why I can see it, the corner, sticking up a little bit. If I make it a little bit tighter, definitely, look at this shot right here. Easily fit really, really well to my wrist. So this watch has a really short strap on the 12 o'clock side, so it doesn't look super good because it's kind of, fitting at the edge of the wrist. It's if I were the owner, I would probably replace the 12 o'clock strap for something slightly longer. Beautiful. I mean, I apologize for the reflection, but beautiful watch. Perfect fit for a 16.5 centimeter wrist. Shot over here. Again, just remember when you look at the watch on on the video or photo, it looks bigger than reality especially on our wrist. Just remember, I think 46 millimeter is perfect, almost perfect lug-to-lug for a 16.5 centimeter wrist. All right, so this is a quick summary of the Patek Philippe Calatrava 5127R-001. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.